Divorce lawyers of Reddit, what plot twists, or crazy antics or demands have you seen go down from either spouse? For more infotainment, subscribe to our channel and press the bell icon to get new video updates. Thanks for watching. Oh damn, very similar situation. My mom's fiancé worked for a major company that delivers supplies/uniforms/ etc. to other companies. He had gone through a nasty divorce with his ex, who is a completely psychotic cunt from what I have seen and researched in court docs. They have shared custody. Well, one day she calls up his employer's corporate office and says that one of their employees is breaking the job code by taking pictures while on the job as he was driving, mostly from stuff like when the Avengers were shooting and he was stuck in traffic going nowhere. This on a corporate level means instant termination if true. The pictures weren't even public to begin with, and she only was able to access them through their daughter's Gmail account while the daughter was logged in. She copied them and sent them to corporate. He then lost his job of 22 years. His boss couldn't do anything to help as was a corporate firing. Here is the kicker. She then sees him in court the next week. Since they were already scheduled to discuss custody, she is always trying to get full with supervised visitation. In court she brings up how he doesn't have a job and then demands full custody since he is an unfit parent. Judge then tells her that there is no way in hell she is getting custody, and she is more of an unfit parent than he is. He continues to tell her that she just caused the main source of support for their child to become unemployed, based entirely off her decision to call in and report it. The first time I ever left a courthouse with a grin on my face as she finally got what she deserved. I go with him for moral support, and the courthouse is 2 blocks from my house, so it's not out of my way. TLDR, crazy ex of my mom's fiancé gets him fired from his job of 22YRS and demands full custody of the child. Judge tells her she is a dumb cunt and caused all of this. Therefore she can't handle full custody. I'm not a lawyer, but this is a story about my uncle and it's quite brilliant. My uncle has been a lifelong videographer and still works to this day as a news photographer. During the early to late 90s he stopped shooting news and started shooting freelance. This was before everyone and their moms, had a camera/editing software/whatnot. Eventually he became a sought-after photographer. In the 80s when he was working as a news photographer he met and married a reporter/news anchor of which he would go on to have 2 children with. After leaving the news business to freelance he decided to start a video editing business with his wife. That went extremely well for a while and they were making money hand over fist. He would be asked to shoot for channels such as Food Network and HGTV, DIY, etc., and then edit it into the show. She would work as the middle woman for his clients and as bookkeeper. Eventually she would turn out to be a secret substance abuser and adulterer and their marriage ended in divorce. At this point my uncle was making a couple 100K a year with their business. She decided to sue him for alimony, mostly because he was worth a good chunk of change, but also because she helped him build his business. Her demands were ridiculous, something like 75% of the business for the next so many years or something crazy. My uncle's lawyer was afraid she was going to win because she had played such a big role in building the biz. Fast forward to court day, her lawyer stands in front of the judge and lists off what she wants in the divorce. Once he is finished it's my uncle's turn. He blindsides her and offers to give her 100% of the business. The judge and both lawyers are confused and ask him if he is sure. Without him shooting and editing there is no business. So basically she would be left with a hell of a lot less than she asking for by asking for X amount of profits. The judge reasoned that his offer was fair and that she could take it or leave it. She was pissed, her lawyer was pissed and she ended up getting nothing. Haha. TLDR, my uncle started a biz with his wife. She turned into a cheating addict. Divorce. She wanted X% of profits from biz in divorce. He offers her the entire business, total awesome move. He is a photog/editor so she can't do with biz because she isn't a photog/editor. She gets nothing. Not a divorce attorney but I clerked for a judge that handled divorce cases. We had a couple that were both lieutenant colonels in the Air Force. They had one daughter that was about 11 or 12. Both had graduate degrees and were generally intelligent people. Well, the husband had an affair and things went sour with the relationship. The daughter was at that age when her relationship with the mother was starting to get a little strained, and she mentioned how she wanted to stick with her dad because he was about to be stationed elsewhere and the parents would be going their separate ways. The mother absolutely freaked. The first thing she did was go to the local police department and claim the father had been molesting and raping the daughter. They investigated and couldn't find any evidence, so they dropped the case. The mother, still furious, then goes to the Air Force Office of Special Investigations and reports the same thing. The Air Force then suspends the husband from duty and conducts their own investigation. Same result, no evidence of wrongdoing, and the case is dropped. The mother then goes to the next state over where the husband is about to be transferred and contacts the local police there with the same story about molestation and rape. They of course do their own investigation, but same result, case is dropped. Of course, this whole time the daughter has been interviewed a dozen times by psychologists, various therapists, the police, the Air Force, and who knows else. The daughter is straight up traumatized by this. People constantly asking her if her dad had been touching her / raping her and so forth. Not to mention the harm it did to her father's career. He was basically screwed from any possible promotion just because of the allegations. As well as the fact that infidelity in the military is a big no-no. But that was his own doing. Well, once word of all this gets back to the judge, he is furious. He's a former Air Force JAG and still has contacts in the ranks. Well, anyway, the couple comes in front of him one day for a hearing and he outright tells her she better stop this behavior or he's going to hold her in contempt of court for the maximum amount of time he can lawfully hold her in a cell. Contact the DA and recommend the filing of charges, contact her Air Force superiors and recommend reprimand to the fullest extent possible, and basically anything and everything he can do within his power. It was one of the most messed up things I've seen during my relatively short experience in the legal world. Not a divorce lawyer, just someone that has gone through a child custody battle, and I had to tell my one great story under oath. Sit through this one, Reddit. I can't make this up. My ex and I had broken up and she decided to get an apartment 30 minutes away from where our apartment was. It's probably for the best so we'd never run into each other in public. My ex is a first-grade teacher and found a school to work for on that side of town. My daughter went to school there too, just to make it easier on her mother. I'd drive there and pick up my daughter from school every single day during the week because I work at 5 a.m. and got off at 1:30 p.m. I became good friends with all of the stay-at-home moms and would talk with them every day after school while our kids ran off their energy on the playground. On my days off, I'd drop her off and just hang out on that side of town and get to try new restaurants, find new comic book shops, etc. On one particular day, I decided to try Wee Man's Chronic Tacos for lunch. Now, what they don't tell you about Wee Man's Chronic Tacos is that you need to be within 30 minutes of a toilet after you eat it. I was on my way to get my daughter and I felt like I had to fart really bad. I just casually looked around and let loose in the car. It was at this moment that I knew I had made a terrible mistake. Yes, Reddit. I sharted my pants 30 minutes from home, 10 minutes before I had to pick my daughter up from school. I had a simple decision to make: go up there and get her anyway or make something up and come back later. I checked myself out and thankfully it didn't show through my jeans, so I waited in my car until I heard the bell ring. I went up there quickly and took my daughter aside. "Sweetheart, this is really embarrassing. Daddy had an accident. You can't play with your friends today. We need to go." Like a trooper, she understands and we leave. Now, I told you that story to tell you this story. I left out one major detail above. The routine was, I'd pick my kid up, she'd play with her friends, her mother would come out to the playground and see her for a little while and then leave. On this particular day, I broke the routine. On the ride home, my phone is going off like crazy. My phone was on silent and needless to say, I wouldn't have answered it anyway. I get home and I have 20 missed calls, all with voicemails. Fast forward to our custody hearing. I've got 2 lawyers, she doesn't have one. Without getting into too many details, it generally isn't going very well for her. She's desperate, really desperate to make me look like an unfit parent. Representing herself while I'm on the stand, asks about what happened on that particular day. The day I kept her daughter away from her. Reddit, I looked at my lawyers, who I also had to tell this story because I saw this coming. They smiled and gave me that, well, go on. Look. I had to tell the story about how I my pants after eating wee man's chronic tacos to a judge, a bailiff, and a court stenographer. Midway through this story, the judge goes from looking at me with this piercing glare to covering her mouth, trying so hard not to burst out into laughter. Seeing how well received my story was, my ex had no further questions. The judge ended my getting off the stand with, well, now that's on public record. I froze. That's on public record? Oh man. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why I tell this story now. If you were to look up my court case, there is an official version of this story somewhere on public record. I hope this is the kind of thing you were asking for, OP. Laughing face.